Well, it's nice to be back. I've been away a couple of weeks. In some ways, tonight's talk is informed by my 2 weeks away. I was with family, extended family, for most all of it. Um, I may or may not talk about it, but I think just to preface it, the thing that was curious to me, this was first I was with my older brother, his wife, and his niece, and his daughter, and two daughters of hers. And then I was with another nephew with his wife and three kids. And it was interesting in a way, thinking about how these people are very important to me, that I've been integrated in this family, obviously, for my whole life.
Hello.
And if we weren't family, I would have nothing to do with these people, right? So, and most of the world is like that. Most of the world is just people, but we have our own connections. We have our own way that we make one person more special than another. In the vastness of the universe, everything is equal. But in the subjectivity of our own lives, things become closer and more distant, better or worse, good or bad. So, and this is really kind of central to Zen practice. At the fundamental heart of everything, everything is equal. Nothing is more special than anything else. In fact, to say one thing versus another is already making something extra. And simultaneously, in our subjective reality, there is better and worse, closer and more distant. And we have to manage both simultaneously. And it's very difficult. And really, we don't know how to do it. So, on my trip away, I was thinking that I was going to come back. And one of the first things I was going to do was give this talk. So I thought to go right to the base of our practice. So, in a sense, you could say this talk is entitled, What Am I? Don't Know. I think everybody here, I'm looking both in the room and online, you understand that line. You've heard it a lot of times before. Every time we give meditation instructions, we talk about focusing on the great question, what am I? And then sometimes we can use it like a mantra. We could say on the inhalation, what am I? And then on the exhalation, we say, don't know. The problem I have with that construction of meditation instruction is that it takes this question of what am I, and it turns it into language and concept, when actually it's not about conceptualizing the question, what am I, at all. It's about being curious and not believing my own story. It's raising, we say, great doubt. It's like anything that I think it is not it. So to really work with this question, what am I, means we have to let go of all of our ideas, opinions, and conditions. That's easy to say. Actually, it's concrete, visceral work to wonder, what am I? So in the meditation hall, it's raising this great doubt. And it's just holding the question. And the response of don't know makes everything open up. So it's not an intellectual pursuit. It's actually experientially happening in the moment. We might remind ourselves in the moment when we say, "What am I? Don't know." But actually, it's a stance. It's a way of living our life. In the meditation hall, it's observing everything and being curious about it. And actually, that's true also in our everyday life. Can we raise enough curiosity to observe what it is that we're doing? Feel the actual visceral sensations of our life. When we take a breath in, can we feel the breath come in? Can we feel it as it settles down into our belly? And can we embrace this not knowing in such a way that we helps us let go and observe and watch? I saw this quote online from Zen Master Sung, and it's one I remember him saying. He said, "I don't teach Zen. I certainly don't teach Korean Zen. I don't teach American Zen. I don't teach Buddhism. I teach don't know." So in the mid 1980s, when we were naming the school, it got named the Quantum School of Zen. Quantum means perceived sound, or we may say hearing the cries of the world, School of Zen, or perceived sound, School of Zen. And I thought then maybe a more descriptive name for our school is the Don't Know School of Zen, because that's the base. Now remember, the question, what am I, and don't know, is the same thing. It's not separate. Zen Master Sung used to say, don't know is primary point. Your before thinking mind, my before thinking mind, same mind. So when we ask the question, what am I, and respond with don't know, we're actually pointing back to before thinking. I notice when I raise the question, what am I, one of the initial reactions I get is kind of a touch of anxiety and nervousness, because the question arises and our minds are set up. When a question arises, I need an answer. And we don't know. Don't know is the answer. So it's already destabilizing. That's not by accident, and that's not a mistake. We have to be shaken from our I, my, me perspective. So when I was thinking of this talk on what am I went back to an old Beatles song. And maybe this is making something, but I thought I needed to say, when I go back to music lyrics, that puts me back into my youth. So this is like from high school or college. That's when I listen to music with lyrics that I listen to with the depth of the lyrics. These days, I listen to more music that either doesn't have words or lyrics, or the lyrics are in a language that I don't understand. So I wish I had some more modern, current things to share with you, but I got to use what I got. So I'm going to actually read to you some lyrics from this song, I, Me, Mine. It says, all through the day, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. All through the night, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. Now they're frightened of leaving it. Everyone's weaving it, coming on strong all the time, all through the day, I, me, mine. All I can hear, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. Even those tears, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. No one's frightened of playing it. Everyone's saying it. flowing more freely than wine all through the day. I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. I'm going to take a leap of faith and say we all understand exactly what he's saying. I, me, mine, me. How is it for me? What am I doing? How do I feel? What should I do? That's the human condition. When I was looking for the lyrics, there was a little blurb on the song. And the song's written by George Harrison. And they said it's both a universal song, obviously, it's something we all share. This stuckness in the small little box of I, me, mine. But it was also quite specific to what was going on in the group at the time. And, you know, it was at a moment where actually George Harrison left the group. And this is why he left. All this, everything was about each person, not him. It was all about me, what I want, what I think is right. And what struck me in reading that was that it's both universal and particular. Universally, we lose contact with our nature because we're stuck in this small self of I, me, mine. I want something. I don't want something. I hoard things. It needs to be my way. That's the way it works. We all develop in a way that that's what we do. And it plays out in relationship and in community in ways that actually creates more and more and more suffering. Grabbing for myself means taking what there is and not sharing it with you. Being stuck in I, me, mine means I'm seeing the world through my own lens and believing that that's the truth. And living my whole life to confirm that truth and to make my life more comfortable. Grasping, holding, desire. It's basically what the Buddha talked about. And what the Buddha talked about was the freedom that comes from letting go of that, not separating the world into me and you, but actually seeing it all as one thing. That actually, to quote another song, I am you and you are me, and we are all together. I mean, it's so hokey to say it, but it's the truth. And the direction of our practice is to bring this great question to every moment of our lives, not just when we're meditating in the Dharma hall, but when we are relating with our family, to be watching, listening for I, me, mine, being curious about it, wondering, where did that come from? What is my experience now that brought out that response? I remember Zen Master Bon Soeng saying often, he'd say in his very kind of basic English, as he was learning English, he would say, why do that? We don't usually ask the why question because we're not really looking to explain why we're doing it. Although, honestly, quite often that explanation can be helpful. Oh, I was jealous. So I stuck my nose right in the middle of it to get some attention for myself. To perceive that in the moment of it happening is an awakening. When we can see the motivation of our behavior, when we can be present enough in our lives to experience the moment and see it up close, not in the rearview mirror or not hours later going over the situation, but right here, right now, feeling the antecedents, feeling the moment as it arises, seeing how that arising brings about a response. That is the chain of cause and effect. If we can't see it, we're destined to do it over and over and over again. When we're aware in the moment, we have the power to change our behavior. And if we can change our behavior, we change the world. So if you want world peace, there's nothing to do other than change yourself right here, right now. Not sometime in the future, but to bring your awareness, your presence, your curiosity, and your wonder right here, right now. And to be completely alive and responsive to the moment at the exact same time that we're observing and seeing and being able to find our way. If we can move into before thinking mind, then the world teaches us. Each moment shows us how to respond. But as long as we're stuck in I, me, mine, what really happens is the small self, the neediness of I, me, mine, runs the show. So since I, Jeff, need you to see me in a particular light, then I'm going to start acting in ways to get you to think the way I want you to think. And already the world gets skewed into the world of samsara and suffering. But if I can be alive and present, aware of experience as it arises, and present enough to see the world in front of me, not separate, but as me part of it, then it's possible to help, to create a world where we're all uplifted. Not just me, but all of us. So this practice of what am I is a moment-to-moment practice. It's not just something that we use when we're meditating and forget about it all the rest of our lives. Actually, I've said this often, our work in the meditation hall is like we're at the gym and we're making the muscle of what am I stronger so that in the moment of our life, we can perceive and we can let go enough of that attachment to self to connect with the world around us. So in the universal sense, once we find don't know, there's no differentiation at all. It's just this, suchness, aliveness. And in the particularity in our lives, we can see our attachments, we can work with them and open our hearts, open our minds, open our center, and allow the world to teach us. And allow, rather than I have to figure it out, we can be led by the moment. We don't need to understand everything. We need to connect with it. And that takes practice. That takes questioning. That takes curiosity. When you notice a sensation, be curious about it. When you feel sadness arising, be curious about it. When you feel that heaviness of depression, be curious about it. What is that? And if you watch and if you listen, you will see it. It's there for you. You know, my work, both as a therapist and as a Zen teacher, is about guiding people, helping people. What I've learned is I don't have to understand. I also don't know. So don't look to me to know. But if I can stay open and I can listen, I can hear things that you will show me. And I can give that back to you. But don't look to me to know. Look to me to not know. Let me be, hopefully, a model of not knowing. Not a model of knowing everything. If you think you have to know everything, you're just solidifying I, me, my. When you have the strength of your center, and I guess that's one thing I didn't talk about, but you've heard it many times, breathing down into our lower abdomen, making our center stronger, our foundation stronger. In a sense, you could say that's a kind of confidence. I can be here. It's safe to be open. It's safe to listen. We don't get that from knowing. We get that from building our center and feeling the confidence of being alive. And that if we pay attention, the world shows us how to be, what to do, how we can connect with this world to be helpful. You know, we talk, this is the part of the talk where I always bring up the Bodhisattva way. But the Bodhisattva way it's not really an instruction that you should do that. It's the playing field of our practice. If we keep in mind the possibility of being helpful, of hearing the cries of the world, our heart is open. We're not grasping for everything for ourselves. And we have to be honest enough to know that we don't know. But if we can trust that don't know, there's some freedom and aliveness. According to Zen Master Bon, so I didn't read this independently, but he talked about Socrates and don't know. And somebody asked Socrates, they said, "Do you know?" And he said, "I also don't know, but I know this don't know." So get to know not knowing. Get familiar with the experience of not knowing. Get familiar with the possibility of not relying on small I, me, my to figure everything out. But get familiar with the possibility of opening your ears and your heart and using that information to help you respond to the moment. That is the Zen way. It's not about religion. It's not about right and wrong. It's about what helps us be alive and fresh and available and of service to the whole universe. That's the Zen way. So I hope we can all continue together to use this great question, what am I? Not to answer it, but to drop into not knowing, which allows us the intimacy of this very moment, the precious gift, I would say, of the intimate nature of this very